So you've all heard now about Granite and deploying this and how easy it is and how fast it is and how well it works. So I'm actually going to take you through how to do that. But first I'm going to sort of walk through what many of you may have actually experienced back during Hurricane Sandy, right? Your New York branch, again, as somebody said earlier, stored in the basement, gets flooded, and is completely offline. All the hardware is gone. And so today, how do you go through a recovery for that? Well, of course, you have to have somebody order servers, and that can take a few hours. You got to get anywhere from one to everybody to do your racking and stacking, unpack them all, get them in the racks, install Windows, and make sure it's patched to your latest version. All of this is adding up very quickly, right? Install and configure various application software, no matter what it is. And depending on what that is, it can be a long time to get that installed. And finally, of course, you got to virus scan everything before you deploy it. And once you've got that and shipped it to your branch, you've got to get your tapes back from storage. And finally, once your tapes are there, start restoring. And depending on how much data you have, that can take a while. And depending on when your tapes were last shipped to offsite, you could lose a significant amount of your branch data, right? As time passes, you're losing money. Every minute you have downtime in your branch, you have IT staff focused on this, you're losing money. We're guessing 168 hours of downtime to get your branch back once it's down. And, of course, overtaxed IT folks. So let's see if we can do the whole thing in 5 minutes. So I'm going to sit at my former branch manager's desk here. And I'm going to, if we can bring that screen up, I'll log into my Granite core, which is in my data center in San Francisco. And I'm going to add a Granite Edge device, and it's going to be my New York branch. And I'll go into my Steelhead EX appliance, and I've got enter the IP address. Anybody remember that one? (146.88). 146.88. And it's the New York branch. And I'll add that core to my branch. And I can see I'm connected. So I can see I've got LUNs, but they're currently not connected to any branch. So I'll go ahead and I'll map those storage, and I've got them defined. I've got a couple of virtual servers defined, so I'll map those all out to that branch device. And that takes a couple of minutes, or a couple of seconds actually. And I just have to change the permissions for each of those servers so that everybody has access to it in the branch. Each one of those gets all the permissions set correctly. And then I'll just go ahead and bring each one of those online. And as this goes through, each one of those storage devices is now being brought up in the branch and connected using that Granite Edge device. And you can see that they're connected very quickly. And in fact, if I go back to my edge device and I look, you can see that they're all connected. One of them is offline, but now it's connected. So all of those storage devices are now moved over. We've been talking about the speed and the latency. So I'll just do a quick speed test and see what my current connection is. And I can tell you that if you're doing this in a very remote location, I have been running this demo out of a hotel room using a MiFi wireless connection and been running this demo successfully. So it's not a bad connection, but again, one of the things that's important here is latency. Your users are going to really notice the latency on this link. So let's see what it has in terms of latency. Not bad, right around just under 100 milliseconds. So now if we go over and log into the VSP platform on that Granite Edge device, it'll connect, it'll check what all's available, and I can see the inventory here. This is the part that takes the longest out of the whole thing, and that's waiting for the VSP platform to notice that the storage has been made available. And once that storage is available, I can then actually add those servers to the virtual service platform on this device and begin to run those servers. As I said, this is the part that takes the longest out of the whole deployment. As you saw, I've projected the storage out there. I've loaded it, and there we have our storage showing up. And it's all coming online. So I'll just bring up the file server here. I'll go and look in that data store. Now remember, this data store is actually living in my data center in San Francisco. And inside there is my virtual server. And I can add that virtual server to the inventory. I'll call it my file server. I can close that out. There's my file server. I can power that on. And if I look down here, I can see that it's taking very little time. That file server, that virtual service, has now been deployed to that branch in just about 5 minutes. I brought that branch up with its local storage, its local application servers, all in about 5 minutes. So I ask you, which seems easier, faster, and more cost-effective? I'm going to go with Granite. Thank you.